Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Ainsworth from TSEG, and I'm joined today by Vinith from Supio.
Hey everyone, Vinith Johnson, head of intake here at Supio. Really excited to be here and speak intake with Kelly.
TSEG is a legal marketing, legal intake, and client acquisition partner built exclusively for plaintiff law firms. Our team manages the entire front end conversion process. That's digital marketing, lead qualification, intake operations and performance, and signed client acquisition. Generating leads is expensive, but losing qualified prospects because of slow follow-up is even more expensive. In the mass tort and single event PI lead acquisition world, you can't look at speed as a metric. It's really a fundamental part of the process, and it can give you a really strong competitive advantage if you do it right. We've seen firms spend thousands generating leads just to lose them because the first contact happens hours later rather than minutes.
Supio intake is Supio's newest product, and so we essentially help plaintiff firms convert leads into signed retainers. We have multiple facets to the product. We have a fully customizable and trained voice agent. We have an engine that can essentially score and qualify your leads, and we also have coaching that can help your intake reps perform better on their intake calls.
The moment a potential client submits a form, your firm is already competing with every other advertisement they clicked on that day. Today's consumers are not submitting a single inquiry and just patiently waiting for a call back. They're submitting multiple forms and answering multiple unknown callers. It's the firm that reaches out first and creates a sense of confidence that's going to win that lead. The race starts when the prospect begins their search. It doesn't start when your intake team begins their shift. And this is where marketing becomes important, right? We have retargeting campaigns, ad sequencing, SMS follow-up, email nurture campaigns. These all buy time in the decision process and they help keep your firm at top of mind. While marketing can buy time, it can't overcome operational delays. If your competitor reaches the prospect in 4 minutes, whereas you're reaching out in 4 hours, the marketing battle was already lost.
Absolutely. So, as Kelly mentioned, all your clients are on Google. When they are met with an accident, they're just basically going hit by hit, looking at all the links. And so, as they're calling their first hit, you want to be sure that you're trying to close them on that very first call. And for that, it's essential that you have someone on staff all the time or have an AI system that can essentially cater to those calls. And so speed to lead is by far one of the most important metrics that we focus on. We want to ensure like all of our clients are also essentially either closing on that first call or at least returning to the clients as soon as possible within minutes.
Most firms have a lead handling problem. Every additional handoff, queue, voicemail, missed call, delay in follow-up, this introduces friction into the intake process. Mass tort intake is specifically vulnerable for this because volume arrives in spikes rather than predictable patterns. Firms need to be able to scale response capacity without sacrificing quality or compliance. Think about your intake team like an emergency dispatch center. You're getting immediate responses, standardized workflows, clear ownership. There's no dead ends for the client. It's more than just getting to that phone quickly. It's moving a prospect from inquiry to signed representation before a competitor can intervene.
It's important that you assess what that intake pipeline is like. The intake lag is sort of manual by default, right? So someone has to collect the documents, they have to organize the records, they have to build a file from scratch.
Easy to lose someone in that process.
Exactly. So this pipeline, if you are running a high volume firm or trying to scale to a high volume firm, this pipeline breaks. That's where Supio comes in to help automate some of those steps in this pipeline. All you have to do is make sure that you are focused on that conversation with the client, be as empathetic as possible, or you're able to close the retainer, and the rest of the manual steps in the process are all automated. So that way, the legal team gets a fully complete, structured file fast without a lot of manual staff intervention.
So, what does a fast funnel look like? It looks like a firm that ties response time directly to revenue. Response time should be monitored with the same attention as cost per lead, cost per signed case, conversion rate. We think the best intake teams focus on these four things: speed to first contact, speed to qualification, speed to retainer delivery, and speed to signed engagement. Every minute that's added to that funnel reduces your firm's chances of securing the client. The goal is simple, right? Make it easier and faster for a qualified prospect to hire your firm than any other competing firm.
Absolutely. File readiness just moves the failure point somewhat further down the funnel. So their intake department doesn't just depend on staff bandwidth. So when volume spikes, it doesn't create backlogs. And attorneys get their organized files within hours and not days, which is usually the case when you're not using an AI system.
So, for attorneys watching, I challenge you to take a minute and look at your intake process and ask yourself these three questions. One, how long does it take to make first contact? Two, how long does it take us to get a retainer in front of a qualified prospect? And three, how long does it take us to get that retainer signed?
And my advice for attorneys would be to really build a formidable data foundation for intake, right? Do you have all the set criterias and the SOPs in a written format where you can, revisit them? If not, it's a great exercise for you all to just like write those down as opposed to living in your intake manager's head. The second thing I would advise is really map the time between a signed form and when your legal team receives a complete case file. And this is where cases sometimes get lost. And so mapping out the time right from that call to retainer and from retainer to the case file is a great exercise to optimize some of those steps in between.
Exactly. Fast, organized, smart intake is really the name of the game to give you that competitive advantage.